webinar. Welcome to the 2 o'clock webinar. We are online. We're going to wait for a few seconds to get some folks registered. So give us a second as we get folks to come online. We have some folks still logging in. So we'll wait here just another minute. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I am Kevin Terry, the School Counseling Director at Rockridge High School. And today we wanted to talk about information for junior parents to know now. We felt there was some information and some changes that have occurred in the last month or two that we wanted junior parents to know kind of right away. And this was our best avenue to get information out to folks right away. We do want to remind folks that Wednesday night we have a financial aid seminar with Briarwoods at 7 o'clock. We'll be talking a little bit about financial aid and the FAFSA in a few minutes, but we just wanted to get that reminder out right now. So today, let's talk about the logistics real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send questions via email to susiealder@lcps.org. So that's for you folks on YouTube. If you're in Google Hangouts, it's probably easier if you use the chat function. We're having some issues with the Q&A. So you can probably send information or questions through the chat. Anyway, questions on YouTube or just questions in general, if you have, you can send to susie.alder@lcps.org. As you watch, we'll stop a few times to take questions, but we'll move on. So kind of our objectives for today are talk about who's going to be with your child on the journey to applying to college, and then the information that we really want to get out and the information about the changes in the SAT, the Common App changes, and the new Coalition for Access, Affordability, and Success, and talking about financial aid or the FAFSA. We're also going to talk about Naviance and how to use that, the tool that we use with our students, our seniors this year are using, and just in general about steps you and your student can take to prepare for college. So we wanted to introduce or make you aware of our counselors this year. Since Ms. Bush, her husband was reassigned to overseas, we had to redistribute students across all 4 counselors. And we just had to change the alphabet a little bit for 9th through 11th graders. So Ms. Qatar has all the 9th through 11th graders A through EN. Ms. Famalan has all the 9th through 11th graders from EO to KRI. And Ms. Bryan has the students from PP to Z, and Ms. Connell has KRJ to PO. And believe it or not, our alphabet's that specific that we have a KRJ and a KRI. So one of the first changes that we wanted to make folks aware about is the new PSAT coming in March. Everyone's kind of heard about these changes, but one of the things that we wanted to make you aware of is that the last day to take the old PSAT is January 23rd. And the registration deadline is just a few days away, which is December 28th is the registration deadline. March 5th is the new SAT, so the March, May, and June SATs will be the new SATs. And so why is that important to these groups, or the juniors, soon to be seniors? Miss Alder asked pretty much every college in Virginia about will they accept the new SAT or the old SAT? Will they do something called super scoring? A super score is where a college takes the highest, say, math score of a sitting and the highest verbal score of a sitting, and they combine them. So you might have taken the May SAT and the December SAT, and they take the highest math from that sitting and the highest math from another sitting to get you your highest score, called a super score. So what Ms. Alder asked the colleges was, will you accept the old SAT for these current juniors, and will you super score? And so some colleges said, yes, we'll accept the old or the new SAT, but we will only super score the old SAT, or we'll only super score the new SAT. So it's important as you move forward in your college process to really research this, know what colleges will take the old SAT and the new SAT, and which ones they'll super score, because some were saying that they would super score old and new scores. The one that we were really concerned about, because we have a lot of students apply here, is Virginia Tech, who said they only want to see the new SAT for the current juniors. So that's a pretty big school, and we wanted parents to kind of know that now as you plan. It's very important that, again, you look and see with these colleges who's taking the new SAT and the old SAT. I know some of our juniors currently feel like they're done with the SAT, and this last January SAT was going to be kind of their last attempt to get their best scores. And a school like Virginia Tech saying we only want the new SATs is starting the clock for these students again. So we just want to make folks aware that that's out there, and that's a question that is coming up more and more. So definitely research it. For example, Virginia Tech has had it on their website for the last month or so. Other schools, as you saw Ms. Alder asked them specifically, are putting that information up. So a number of our juniors have said with the changes in the SAT, they are just going to stick with the ACT. And since most schools accept either an SAT or ACT, it's important that you just know the deadlines. The next ACT is coming up in February, so the deadline is January 8th for registration. And that June ACT isn't a bad time this year, let's say as bad as it was for others, because we're not having final exams this year. So it's past AP time, and students will be winding down with their projects. So that June 11th might not be a bad idea for the ACT. So the comfort level with the ACT and all the changes with the SAT, more folks just kind of felt like, I'm just going to take the ACT till we see what happens with the SAT. One of the challenges, and I'll go back a few slides here, is with the SAT in March, the deadline or the return for test scores could be up to 10 weeks. So students may take that SAT and may not know how well they did until they get those scores, but that may not be enough time to be prepared for the May or June ACT, or SAT, I'm sorry. So that's one of the reasons more folks are talking about taking this year until they work through those issues with the SAT. Another big change is what's called the coalition. Our students this year are using the Common App, and the Common App is also linked with our Naviance program that we'll talk about in a little bit. But this year, about 80 colleges throughout the US have decided to create a new application process and portfolio program for high school students. And it's important to know of the 80 schools, a lot of these schools represent some of our most select colleges. So you have Brown, Harvard, William and Mary, UVA, Northwestern. So there are a number of schools that have switched to, for next year, to the coalition. So we're asking parents to really start reading up on the coalition. They say that their tool will be a different tool and make the process easier and more accessible for students and parents. But what we're telling parents now is start to look at those things and start to be aware of what the changes are and which schools you're interested in, and if they're a coalition school or a Common App school, or if they have their own process for applications. The Common App is what our students are mostly using this year. Common App has between 300 and 400 colleges, I believe. And you can go on Common App. There's a link we have here, and we'll post this presentation after we're done today with the links. But the Common App has about 400 schools. Our students linked this year Naviance in the Common App, and that allows students and parents to see how the process is going, when things were submitted, and when they were received. But again, with about 80 to 100 schools leaving Common App this year, you want to make sure you know, is your school a Common App school, a coalition school, or do they have their own application process? So those things are going to be really important and different for this group of graduating seniors or current juniors going to be seniors. So we're going to talk a little bit about federal student aid and the changes in the federal student aid. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. And what's different about that is with the FAFSA this year, or with your group, with the class that will be starting college in 2017-18, the FAFSA can be submitted in October of 2016. This year, our current seniors have to wait until January 1st to submit their FAFSA. And that means that, you know, it's a little bit later, but their taxes are based on this, the FAFSA is based on this year's taxes. For the current juniors, their FAFSA information is going to be based on their 2015 income. So this is the year to kind of get your taxes right and know that this information is going to be what's used for your FAFSA. Certainly, if you have any changes in information, you always submit that to colleges with your financial information, but the FAFSA this year will be important for you folks. And so this means that you'll be able to complete your FAFSA anytime after October 1st, which will hopefully allow colleges to get financial information back to students in a faster capacity that will allow students and parents to make decisions a little bit sooner about these things. So we're hoping that that makes the process easier. Next month, we talk about with our seniors here about creating what's called a FAFSA ID, and that is your electronic signature. Both student and parents can do that. We just had our own webinar about 2 weeks ago on the new FAFSA and the changes. And parents, if this is your first time going through with a student, you could even go on now and create your FAFSA ID. You won't be able to submit the FAFSA till October 2016, but you can get your FAFSA ID at any time. So that's something, that process is also different. It now takes several days to get your FAFSA ID. It could take up to 3 days. Currently, in the old system, you could do your what's called FAFSA PIN, or now FAFSA ID, and you could get it pretty much instantly. So know that that process also takes a little bit longer for your group of students. So we're going to stop right now. Those are the big changes. We're going to stop and see if we have any questions, and we're going to take just a second to scan through questions. Couple questions about the presentation. We will put out the slides on our website, which is also going under kind of reconstruction, but we will probably email out to all the junior parents the slides for today and put it on our website. And this presentation is being recorded on YouTube. So if you're not able to catch it all now, you can catch it on YouTube at your own, pace or time.
Another question.
Another question about SAT and ACT, and the question is, does Virginia Tech accept ACT scores? And yes, they do accept ACT scores. That's a good question, and folks, that's something as you go through the process, you and your student can start looking up which schools accept which admissions tests, but most accept all. There are different ways colleges superscore, or they may not superscore the SAT or the ACT. But that's really specific to colleges that it's good homework for the students to kind of look up. Okay, we're checking for a few more questions. The other counselors are here with me, kind of reviewing questions as we go through the presentation. All right, so we'll keep moving on. What we want to talk about now is just some general admissions kind of trends and information as you guys start to think about the college process. We'll also do this type presentation a little bit later this year for the junior parents, and we're going to have a curriculum night in February for all current parents to kind of think about scheduling for the next year. And then we'll do some more specific stuff with juniors as you guys have kind of more work to do to prepare. This is from the National Association of College Admissions Counselors, or NACAC, and every couple of years they survey all the colleges in the United States to find out what's important in the application process. One of the big things that is evident in the responses to the NACAC survey is that what colleges are really looking for, and you can see in the survey, is strength of curriculum and the grades in those courses. So you're taking courses that are challenging for you, you have a challenging curriculum, and you're doing well in those courses. That's kind of first and foremost. And you see as you further go down, you see questions, folks have questions about grades in courses and GPA, and you see class rank is kind of further down. Really what they're really looking for is, did you challenge yourself, take and do well in those courses? And then they're thinking about your admission scores, your overall grades in all courses, and looking at all the other parts of the application. So the NACAC website is a good place to go for this type of information. They have wonderful brochures on learning the college process that are very helpful for parents, students, and teachers and counselors. So this is a good place to go. But we wanted to show you this just so you know kind of what's going on in admission. And this survey is just about a year old. Along with that, we know that as kids plan their lives, we see more and more students kind of feeling stressed out about college. And this was a great survey or research done from UCLA on, when students' parents or close to parents' age were going through this process back in 1987, they had almost twice as much time as current students do with their friends. This kind of speaks to kids feeling like all they do is school. If you watch the video from CBS News, one of the kids says they feel like a zombie because all they're doing is schoolwork, sleeping, and getting up and doing schoolwork. So we just want to kind of keep that message out there that kids need to have balance. They do have less and less time in their lives as they take more and more challenging courses. We talk to the students a lot about balance. There's only so many hours in the day. It's not about ability or intelligence a lot of times. It's about the number of hours in the day. So we encourage you to look up this study, just look at the video if you can when we post this. It is really an interesting survey-study. So again, what we talked about earlier was, in the admissions survey was kind of what's important to students as they plan and what colleges are looking for. And, like we said, you're evaluated through your grades, your GPA, class rank, but really remember, it's your grades from freshman year all the way through. So, encourage your students to do their best all the time, not just their junior, senior year. We're going to move on here to say, what does a college transcript look like? We get a lot of questions about that. This has changed in the last 2 years. This is now what a transcript looks like from Loudoun County as it goes out to the colleges, to any college. As you notice, we now only have final grades on the transcript. This time of year, colleges will ask for a mid-year report. So at semester time, we send a mid-year report. So our current seniors in January, after the second quarter is ended, we will send a transcript that has their middle or half-year grades on there. So that's the only time that colleges now see semester grades. And then the bottom of the transcript has information about GPA and class rank. This information is really the most accurate and official is the senior year. When kids come in their sophomore, junior year and ask about class rank or that type, specifically class rank, it's not always as accurate as we have students move in and out. Things go up and down, and class rank is the most accurate in the senior year as we send these transcripts out. It is accurate. Before that, it's not really official. The senior year is when we do the official class rank. So the other thing, again, we talked about was making sure that you're taking courses that are rigorous for you. And this is, again, what we said most colleges are looking for, that they're appropriately challenging. Honors courses, advanced placement, or AP courses, and what we call DE or dual enrollment courses are all courses that have great rigor that colleges are looking for students to have. And more we hear colleges love to see foreign language for as long as you can go. And more colleges are saying, 3 to 4 years. They like to see a foreign language every year for our students. Again, information about SAT and ACT. Like we said, most colleges accept both. We ask our students to try and take both. And the differences between the SAT and the ACT are becoming less and less with the new SAT. And it's good to have your student take both to see which is better in their strengths. Some students feel like the SAT is better for them. Some feel like the ACT. The current ACT, the writing is optional. So that sometimes is, for some students that have trouble sitting for long periods of time, it's nice when they don't have that option. They don't have to sit extra for the writing portion. But you'll see with the changes in the SAT that it is more similar to the ACT, and it is good for this group of students to plan when they're going to do both, but really start thinking about that now. We're going to talk a little bit now about Naviance and family connections and how we can help, and it can help you with kind of your college planning. Our seniors this year use Naviance with their college process. They link the Common App with their Naviance account, and that is a great way to keep track of the information going in and out. Naviance can help you kind of with your college search. It includes information about where our students are applying and going, and that information gets updated each year. Obviously, as a new school, we don't have a lot of information about graduates. So Briarwoods has graciously shared their information with us about the trends that their students have and the places that they go. Again, this is a great place to compare colleges, track your application deadlines, and see when college visits are at Rockridge. And we really hope that our students can use Naviance to create their resumes and to keep information there, because many times students forget about what they did in 9th and 10th grade, or even beginning of 11th grade, as far as awards or service they've done in the community or at school. And Naviance is a good place to keep track of all that. And if you need more information about your access codes and those things, it's on Miss Alder's part, the Career Center part of the website. So here's some of the ways you can do college searches. Search by 2 or 4 year, private or public, large city, small city. Here's some information that's specific to James Madison, and their information about deadlines, contact information. And then you see here the average SAT and ACT scores, average GPA. And remember that these are averages. And that's especially important with GPAs, because even across the state of Virginia, there's about 7 to 10 different grading systems in public schools as far as what A's and B's and C's are. So this is the middle average, or the average. So there's students higher and lower than that that get in, because not every school system has the same GPA, the way they compute GPA. So most colleges have their own process for, or formula for making students, the same across the board. This is a list of college visits from a long time ago. We took the snapshot, and it's a long time ago, even before our school existed. But this gives you a sample of, colleges that swing by. Our students know how to sign up and register that they're attending. But I couldn't even tell you, we've had probably over 40 colleges come through already this year, and we have more coming in the spring. And it's a good way for students to get information about the college, and typically have face-to-face with the folks that are reviewing their applications. So that's a really important part to these visits. And here's some things you can think about in preparing for your student preparing for the college journey. We really stress, again, working on that resume. We ask our seniors to submit a resume and what's called a brag sheet, kind of like a list of things that are important to them, things they've done. And we talk a lot about using the time, this break, any days off we have, or spring break, to visit colleges and find out really what the feel of the college is like for our students. Really, like we said, kind of lay out a plan for your SAT or ACT test taking, and try and think about big events like AP testing, or when you guys have, things coming up in sports. You can register at collegeboard.com or ACT.org or ACTstudent.org. And I believe like the next ACT in Loudoun is in February on the 6th at Dominion High School. But each of the high schools, most of the high schools offer them kind of regionally that you can sign up. Our school code is 470140, and that's what students would put in so that the scores can come back to the school. When colleges ask for SAT scores, students are the ones that need to send them. And so one of the ways that you can send scores, you have the option when you take, say, the SAT, to send the scores. And that's the only time that it's free. After that, there's an additional fee each time you decide to send the scores. So it's an okay option to send scores. A lot of times students worry about, what if I get a low SAT, or it's not my best SAT sitting. Colleges, again, you find out if they super score or not, if they take only one sitting, or they take the highest of your math and verbal. And again, you can send the scores. That's the time when it's free. Other than that, there's an additional fee. And those fees tend to add up with application fees, and then additional fees to send test scores. We don't send those scores on, and they're not on the students' transcripts SAT or AP scores. Again, you can use Naviance to do a career inventory that'll help you figure out, what you like, help you maybe even think about majors. But in Naviance, you can look those things up, figure out what schools have what majors, if they match up with your career goal, and make sure that there is a good match between what you think you want to do and what you want to do, and if there's those options for other majors. We talk a lot about, with our seniors this year, picking colleges that are a good fit or feel good. And that's important for our students to make sure that they have a good fit or feel when they go to that school, that they are going to be comfortable living there for 4 or more years, hopefully only 4, and that it's a place that can be their home. So that's really important for colleges. They're going to be in a place that's their relationship for 4 years, and that's where they gotta feel at home. Kind of a checklist again of things you can think about and move through. A lot of times we hear our students talk about one of the things they look for most in a college visit is, what are the dorms like and what is the food like? That's kind of important because those are the 2 places that they're going to spend a lot of time eating and sleeping. But again, it's about fit and how a campus feels to the students and comfort level. So this week on Wednesday, we're partnering with Briarwoods, and we have a FAFSA workshop at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and that's a good thing to come out and get information about. Even though the information is changing, we want to make sure that you understand the FAFSA in general. So when they give the presentation, it's more about filling out the FAFSA and those type things. But even though the FAFSA timelines are changing, the application itself is not changing that much. So they make us aware every year of the changes, and these workshops are a great way. But again, don't rule out any college because of cost. There are a lot of opportunities that colleges make affordable to students for attending college. So it's good to go to these financial aid nights. It's good to talk. Once you get your financial aid information to colleges, it's good to talk about scholarships, specific awards that they have at schools, and if there's any other ways that your student can get any scholarships or grants. Again, when we talk about lists and colleges, we say, pick a handful of schools, 5 to 7, that your student can, feels like they have what they need with their grades and their admission scores to definitely get in. Schools that are kind of dreams, and then schools that are right where they are and where they feel they could definitely get in. And really work on this list and have it kind of not set in stone, but a good working list by the end of the junior year, and even think about, again, during these breaks, visiting some of those schools. And if you get into that school, kind of think about that question. If this was the only school I was admitted to, would I feel comfortable going there? Because if you're not comfortable going there, it's not going to be a good experience. And we want our students to have a good experience when they head off. Again, we talk about maintaining the resume. That's important, so we know kind of what students are involved in, both inside and outside of school. And next year, as teachers and counselors write letters of recommendation, this is a great tool that students can give to the counselors and teachers to write their letters. College folks really love it when they get all your information early. Most college applications start, their new applications start opening up in July and August. This is a great time to get kind of nuts and bolts of applications out of the way, name, address, logistic stuff, when deadlines are due. But even if you don't want to apply early action or early decision to some schools, getting the information done and your application sent early is good because that kind of takes the pressure off a lot of our students. Before band starts or fall sports starts, once school starts, it's very busy. We set a goal for our students this year of 80% of our students applying to college by this winter break, and we're at about 75% today. And we're hoping that more students will be done by the end of the week. We'll get to that 80%. But that whole goal is to help get this off students' plates before it really gets busy in January, and meet all those deadlines that are January 1st, January 15th, and February 1st. These are the typical application deadlines. So again, by having that goal of everything kind of 80% being done by leaving this winter break, our students have met many of the January 1st, January 15th, February 1st goals. And then these are just some things we've heard from parents kind of going through the process, but try and stay as positive as you're able to with your student. It can be a tough time for everybody. Create a place in your house where you keep all this information, maybe a file drawer or a binder, and have one email that everybody that's in the process, parents, students, have access to, because this is how the colleges are going to communicate to you primarily, is through email. So if something's missing or there's a problem with the application, they're going to contact you through email, and it's best that everybody has that email and that password so that nothing kind of gets lost. So we've had a few questions. We're going to see, take a look at the questions and kind of move through those questions. So give us a second while we look at some of these questions. Okay, one of the questions was, folks in the community heard that this year's seniors, or our seniors, Rockridge, are being lumped with other school seniors for class rankings. Because we're new, no, each school ranks within their school. And that's an important question to know. Each college first compares students within their own school. And like VCU, when they were here giving their presentation, said, you know, we're comparing you to you. We're trying to compare you to what we think you could have done and how well you did before we even think about comparing you to other places. So that's important to know. Typically, schools are comparing our students within our students before they start comparing outside. And I think VCU said it best when they said, we're comparing you to you, before we even think about other comparisons. The other new question was about the changes in the SAT. Will that affect subject tests? That will not affect subject tests. They have not changed. And for those of you, subject tests are in certain areas: math, sciences, languages, that some colleges may ask that you have an SAT subject test in a certain area. Students can take 2 subject tests, I guess maybe even up to 3, in a sitting during a normal SAT kind of time frame. So if you went and everybody else is taking the regular SAT and you're taking a subject SAT, you may be able to take 1, 2, or 3, I guess, while you're there. They're shorter tests. But the new changes do not affect subject tests at this point. Okay, we're looking through some other questions. Just give us a second while we look through them. Okay, again, if you have questions, you can email them to Miss Alder. We're going to post this, the PowerPoint, on our website and probably email it out to folks, along with the links to the broadcasts, so that everybody can have the information, because it is a lot of information that's changed for this year's seniors. And it's a lot to kind of digest for this class. So we'll probably ask for your feedback. We want to do more webinars and find times during the day, not only during the workday, but in the evening when folks can most watch, because we know it's difficult for a lot of folks to get in to the building, and this is important information. So we'll ask again about some times when folks are able to view our webinars, and best times to do that, and kind of best days also. So thank you all for watching. We'll take one more quick check of questions, and then we'll be done. All right, it looks like we don't have any more questions. Again, thanks everybody for watching the webinar. This was our first good foray into webinars, and we hope to be able to do more. And we hope that it's accessible for folks to be able to watch. Thanks again.